good evening, good afternoon. I think it's Nigel, Isaac, thank you for inviting us. What an amazing facility. Especially after the snacks, please keep your eyes open. Yeah. We're going to, it's an interesting, Eric, excellent presentation. And I must say, lease negotiator, I always thought it's real estate agents and brokers. Awesome. I would love to have in all line of businesses. Great. Um, we're going to talk about, I'll just briefly introduce myself, Hemen Modi. Our firm name is TWG, Design TWG. TWG stands for Together We Grow. And that's the whole idea about our construction industry. We all have to work together to grow, to make sure the business is growing. Let me start with the title itself, Bridging the Gaps with Intelligent Design Thinking. Interesting word, intelligent. We're going to make it very simple, break it down in a simpler process, how to make our project. Oh, it's not working? No. How to make the project successful. We're going to talk about, I'll just quickly go through project value addition, a little bit about us, navigating through the fit out journey, bridging the gap. That's the biggest thing. What's the process? Some known pitfalls and challenges, and I'm sure you guys will have a lot more. And I want to show you one case study, how we do the work. What's our project value addition to the complex industry? So I always see, I always tell my client, construction is almost going to the moon. It's not that simple, but it is complex. So lots of moving parts, lots of stakeholders. We need to make sure that each stakeholders own their part of the ownership. Yeah, and we'll elaborate more. So what do we do as a designer? Our job to make sure the aesthetics are right. When the business is up and running, the property value, whether it's a leasehold improvement or whether it's a new build, property value has gone up. Improved productivity of whatever business they are doing. Yes, we are talking more on a medical today. Space planning, absolutely important. Now, the most important part from a client perspective is time and budget. Yeah, if they can achieve the vision to reality in time and budget, that project is winning. Yeah, and how do we achieve through improved single point coordination? So when we work to the project, of course, the selling is always high. Yeah, we all want to get the project. We all want to win the client. I always say, good design is not enough. Good design only ensures a good job. It has to be a great design, and a great designer ensures peace of mind. So one of the biggest thing is why, as an interior designer or an architect, we're talking about the success of the project. Because this is now in DNS world, Eric was asking what are the trends. It's very important to make sure whether it's a lease, hold improvement, or a new project, overall project gets successful. Yeah, and that's the process. Not only as a designer, as a GC, as a stakeholders, we all have to ensure. And how to do it? That's what I want to talk a little bit about. Some of our clients. Some of the awards that we have won for the best lighting design, some top interior design awards. Our variety of experiences are starting from branding. So I always say that the clients come with a vision, vision becomes visual, visual goes to the spatial, and the spatial becomes the experiential. Yeah, so that's the whole journey that we need to achieve as a designer, and of course, time and budget. So some of the projects that we have done in the area line of businesses that we deal with. Talking about the commercial fit out journey now. This is something when Nigel came to us and we started talking about this fit out journey. It's so interesting that we are walking this talk every day, but we as a designer or as a professional also forgets that who are the stakeholders that we work with every day. Starting from the landlord. So landlord, tenant, designers, we just talked about design build, project manager, we'll talk about that, project manager, whether it's part of the designers, profile or GC's profile or tenant profile, City of Toronto or any jurisdiction that we are working with, so city officials, base build consultant and contractors, third party contractors, and property managers. So this is your team. If you have to run, this is the team has to be there together to run. And I must say, when we work like a landlord who's like Concord, life becomes so easy because when we are working with them, it's not just the leasehold improvement. It's the expert team that you work with together. Yeah, starting from day one. And I work personally on the projects with Concord. So understanding the team, very important. Sorry, one thing I forgot to say. You might have questions. We do this day and night. You can, best is to have the question little later, but if you can't understand anything, please raise your hand. I'll explain. So this is the team we are talking about. Now, and I wanted to know the back button. So before we go further, now these players, and I call main key 5 players: landlord, tenant, design architects, engineers, project manager, GC, and the city authorities. Where are they when we start the project? When you sign the lease, Eric helps us to get the lease for dental. Where is the GC? Do you know? Where is the general contractor? It's not there. At that point, there is no GC. Interior designers, architects, maybe yes. Project managers, no, they're not there. So this is one big picture which we have learned. When you sign the lease, we have to have all stakeholders. Of course, we know we are in city, we don't need to worry about them, but all the stakeholders have to establish. How do we establish? I'll talk about that later. So what we did, as Nigel said, once the lease is signed, we're talking about pre-construction process. Then it goes to construction and then post-construction. These 3 stages, all these players are wearing hats. If I call as a color, somebody's wearing orange cap, somebody's wearing blue, green. Do we know? Each entity doesn't know what's others guys, which cap they are wearing. Yeah? And this is what it says. I'm not going to go too much in the detail, but I must say this is kind of a cheat sheet, checklist, you call it, as a tenant, or whether it is, we actually show it to our city officials also. This is the process we follow. This is where each player, so let's just take anyone. Preliminary site visit. I have seen, and Shima, you can also tell me that when the prelim site visit happens, who all are there? At a landlord site visit, of course, client, landlord, client. Sometimes you just see the lockbox. So even landlord is not there. But let's say landlord, client, who else?
So GC is supposed to be there or the project manager, but they're usually not.
They are not there.
And it's just the architect and interior designer that
Exactly.
they start.
Engineers not there. GC is not there. First step. Preliminary site visit, they all should be there. How can it be there? We need to pre-qualify them. Yeah, and I'll talk about that little later, that pre-qualification is extremely important. Not when your tender drawings are there, you hire a GC. You have to have a GC beforehand to even pre-qualify the site, whether this site is working right or not. Another example is a submission of permit application with city. Most important, landlord needs to see what we are submitting to the city. It's landlord's building, working with landlord like Concord. We have actually, how do I say, value addition that I got from landlord. That if you make the design like this, it will be more efficient because we have our internal people, engineers to help us draw the proper mechanical, electrical, etc. Submission of the permit application with city, we want client also to be there. This is another thing client doesn't know. When it goes to the city, they don't know whether it is applied, if the comments are coming from city, they don't know. Engineers and clients, they are not talking. It's a real time communication has to be there. Am I right? So what we have done, I've elaborated pre-construction, but we have created one comprehensive sheet. Of course, too much to digest, but this is your cheat sheet checklist. There you can see the different color coding, who are involved in which stage, whether we take pre-construction, construction, or post-construction. Advantage, this we put it part of our concept presentation. When you see the concept presentation, client knows where I am and which key stakeholders should be there in that process. And it works so amazing that even the GC who is actually coming at the construction stage, he is telling us, guys, if you are making this fit out in this particular facility with this budget, it will not work. Imagine clients so happy that he or they are, if it's a dental fit out of $1 million, it's like a honeymoon period when we design. It's always, yeah, I love this, let's do this, finishes, let's do this. And they go high. By the time it goes to the tender package, 1.5 million. Gone in the city, too late to come back. Now what happens? Let's cut the finishes. You cut the finishes, the vision to reality is kind of compromised. So how about we have each stakeholder sitting right at the beginning and giving us the ownership at the right level. Yeah. By the way, we're going to send whoever has signed it, we'll send the presentation to everyone. So, interesting slide. I want to ask just simple question. This is a conference room. General contractor, client, project manager, procurement manager, designer, they all have bubbles in their head. Can anyone tell me that when all these people sit together in a typical project world environment? Any guess?
After construction starts.
After construction?
The lease is signed.
Great question, great answer, but very rare, very rare. Real issue, real problem. It's pointing fingers. Yeah. This is what you said is bang on. If at the signing of lease, if all these guys sit together under one roof, having a nice coffee together and set the project expectation, who is happy? Not only just client, the project is happy. I always see the project has a DNA. We all work for the project, including client. We never say we work for client. Even client works for the project. Imagine a landlord like Concord, they would love to have this team coming to them and say that, guys, here is the team. Even if it's a brand new concept, you guys, they will say that, no, these guys know what they're doing. It's structured. Yeah. And one community will suffer in this, lawyers. They won't be happy because no change orders as much and no litigations. And how do you do this? One is, I'll not elaborate everything, 360 approach advantage is the collaborative. And the name of my firm says, Together We Grow. It will live, we have to, all of us, especially post-COVID, we are lucky to be all here. We have to collaborate. That's the growth engine. If you don't collaborate, it's not going to work. I'm not saying, oh, it'll be a bad project. It is not going to work. If you have $1 million budget, it'll go 100% million too. And I can guarantee it with my case studies. So best is work together, put out expectations together, and do the right practice. Yeah, we are all talking about right practice. What are the major project elements in the project? So again, I would say this is designer's perspective, architect's perspective. GC will have their own perspective, and they will all have to amalgamate together. From our side, a core design package, local sourcing, approved products. Now with the new building code, even the wallpaper needs a fire rating. Yeah. So if you are sourcing things from overseas, no problem. Even overseas material also you can have a fire rating. Make sure that it's fire-rated stuff. We're doing one project at right opposite the airport, Dixie and Dairy Event Center. GTAA, it comes under Greater Toronto Airport Authority. It doesn't come under OBC. It comes under NBC. Now, National Building Code has a completely different, they are actually even asking the internal assembly fire rating, wall assembly. Whoever GC was working, they did not understand this complexity, and I know they're still not open. And this is after construction second year.
Wow.
Look at the amount of money that they are carrying. Yeah. So specification. Electromechanical. Two things: base building, one which we get from landlord, and one which we are designing with our electromechanical engineering team. That has to overlap. When that doesn't overlap with our interior design drawing, change orders. Absolutely. Sprinklers are here and our light fixture is coming right there. Dental, classic example. You have, I want to pick that example, very interesting. Someone was talking about 30 holes, yeah? 30 holes, coring. You were talking about classic example. We were doing one facility in Oakville and 54-inch slab. You can't even x-ray that. You can't even x-ray 54-inch slab. It was a multi-story building. How do you work? So, Philip, you have one solution. We were just talking.
You could do a raised support system.
There you go. I would not know. Working with that group of stakeholders from day one, do the raised floor 12 inches, do the fire rating in that plenum, works perfect. No pouring. Landlord happy, client is happy. We are not talking about those thousands of dollars for x-rays, coring, and then that web, what Isaac was talking about, under the slab. So, simple example. Okay, all engineers know about this? May not be. But maybe GC knows. If GC doesn't pick up, landlord will help. That's where collaboration. Another important one I've seen, especially for commercial fit out, visual language and spatial language doesn't talk to each other. Visuals is visual branding, graphics, and spatial is interior design architecture. They are two north and south because unfortunately, not all interior designers, they do graphics and wayfinding. It's a third-party agency. Now, if you want to put a simple thing, video wall in a real estate or in a dental office, we have not spec the wall blocking in our drawings. Walls are all done. Now the video wall people are coming, it's freaking 500 pound of video wall. How are you going to put it up? Yeah, okay, you know what, we need to create another 4 inches of wall. Nobody likes that. How can you get away with it? Each stakeholder, so signage is a small example, but that has to be thought of from day one. Project schedule. We, at our place, we call it as PDS, Project Design Schedule. That goes to GC, that goes to procurement people, that goes to client, and client signs off. No talking about moon, that, oh yeah, this will happen in 3 months. Doesn't happen. It's going to take 6 months. They should know from day one because they are borrowing money. Yeah, they need to start paying their leases. So how can they sustain another 3 months? That's where lawyers are happy. Project budget. So this, I'm going to explain you in our process. Pre-construction level project budget has to be established. And now this is where, as a GC, we'll all say that, oh, I don't have the drawings. How can you give me the budget? Yeah, classic example. But we can come up with a budget. If we know, working with a landlord, we know the facility, we know the use, the best case scenario, as he said, 350 to 450, we can come with a 20%, 15% variation that this is a $350 per square feet fit out, 1,000 square feet, is it coming, plus equipment. So we always talk about the construction budget. Okay, 500,000, fair enough. 20% variation, it can go to 600, doesn't go low, it always goes high. So that project budget also has to be, the ownership has to be designers, architects, engineers, and GC. Not only GC. In a most case scenario, GC is the one who faces entire music. You have spec $16 per square feet tile. How on the earth you're expecting me to do this project in this budget? Yeah. So everybody has to wear that cap of responsibility. Ownership. Permits. Classic. Permits is something I love the permit part because you can actually fool anybody who wants you want. Because city says this, we can't do this. Because city says this, and when I came, I was new to the country. I said, "Wow, man, I want to go other side of the wall. What the hell, these engineers? They're coming up with this now. You need to open up this wall. You can't do this. 2-hour fire rating. It has to be plenum, has to be completely fire rated." Then I realized they are human too. There's a logic behind it. Yeah. And once you establish who is your plan examiner, you don't just send the permit package, you send them the preliminary package. They love it. Don't just submit the whole package. If it's a dental clinic, we send them the layout, give them the zoning, Mississauga zoning certificate. They need 100% before even you apply. Toronto, there's not much of the prerequisite of zoning certificate, but as long as the zoning works, I'm talking about the smaller fit out. Yeah, you give that, establish that one rapport. They are also very happy to come on a Teams call. Thanks to COVID, they are happy. Okay, I'll review, no problem, go ahead. Imagine life is so easier. He is aware what he's going to get it. Yeah, and also give them the whole team. Who's GC? Who's an architect? Who's an electromechanical? They're happy. Now, like construction or like any other SpaceX, I would always connect to that. Lots of moving part. We say it's a 4x100 relay race, but everybody has to run additional 50 meters. First guy has to run, another 50 meters, second has to third, because there's nothing like I leave the baton to the other guy, means interior designer or architect give it to GC and I'm done. Never happens, never should happen. So what are those classic pitfalls and challenges we have identified again through our experiences? I'm sure you guys can put 100 more. What we have done, again a cheat sheet, that we give this to our client, our GC, and show them, guys, these are the scenarios. Overlooking site conditions, mismatch with design, it's going to happen. We will never say our drawings are 100%. Never can be 100%. It is going to happen. Conduct site survey and verify MEP capacity. Classic issue in a. We just day before yesterday we are doing a 4,000 square feet, beautiful height like this restaurant project. We went with a GC. First question GC asked, "What's the gas line connection?" Part of the lease, and that's why, Eric, I'm saying you guys should do restaurants also. Because if the lease, those guys have signed lease, 1-inch connection. Yeah, and what you need is 2-inch. Big problem. You have to spend thousands of dollars from the main enrich meter to get that 2-inch line in the. Imagine if this exercise would have done before, client saves, landlord saves. Nobody likes to do this double the work. Yeah. So classic thing. Before, if it's a brand new fit out, even if before you sign the lease, come to the site. Yeah, and talk to the right stakeholders. It makes life much easier. I'm not going to go on each of them, but we have identified, I would say, classic 10 to 11 examples. Same thing. What stage? Key stakeholders? What are the common pitfalls? And what is a prevent? Now, preventive measures can be a lot of different ways. I would say, let's say construction monitoring. Who are involved? GC, design team, tenant. What are the common pitfalls? Design changes during construction. Have you seen? I mean, this is a super space. I would love to work with spaces like this, where I can see the end, I can see the top, less changes. But how many times we have that? Yeah, we get the project where it's a retrofit. We have taken the measurement. Once the demolition done, measurement changes. You get additional 1 feet or you don't have that additional 2 feet. What's the classic problem come? Which one we were talking? Construction margin, sorry. Design changes. Another classic thing. Client comes in, oh, my office is too small. I want to make it bigger. Danger. So how do you do it? Good GCs, they print on the floor. Whether it's green tape, they come, they make sure, get the sign off, and explain the consequences. The changes cost time and money both. Yeah. Now, all these things, one wonders who has the time to educate. Yeah, we want to do multiple, but this is so foundational. If we spend 1 hour with the client explaining about this, I'm telling you, two things happens. One, they know that they're working with a confident and informed team, and other, they know that their money is going in the right direction. And that's most important. And I know when you show this, even landlord loves it. Because they know that we are investing in the right tenant who's coming to us. So how do we do this? One case study I'll show. This is Bar 6 Sports Bar and Pub near Square One, 6,000 square feet retrofit. Kitchen was already there. Classic example, you are on a ground floor, there is a parking underneath, and client changed the whole kitchen design. Now, multiple pouring, landlord saying you can't do that, old building, we don't have the drawings. Some areas you can do X-ray, some areas you cannot do. So what do you do? Now, how do you do? That's where I want to say. So internally, we have established, and it's our trademark process. We call it as a 5D design process. It starts with discovery and deploy. So discovery, define, design, develop, deploy. This is a classic way of developing any project. You can say discover and define pre-construction, design, develop, and partially deploy is construction, and end of the deployment is a post-construction. Now, what happens when we internally use these jargons? At each stage, we call something called POD, proof of deliverables. Means, have we done extensive contextual study? If we are talking about a restaurant or a medical clinic, do we know what's adjacent? Do we know the competition around? This is more for the creative side. First thing, budget feasibility. So that's where in CCDC they call type C, 30% plus or minus, or 25%. That's where that budget will be established. And I've seen a lot of time clients are not aware of it. Oh, it'll cost $400 per square feet. Yeah, even dental office. They say, oh, my accountant's office happened in $200 per square feet. How the hell? That's a couple of more. So imagine if you're facing that at a construction level and a tendering level, too late, you are already blacklisted as a design team. This is where spade is a spade, open the book, show them this, and that's where the GC will come in the picture and give us the reality. I'm just talking about the budget side of it. At the defined level, establish the preliminary project budget, because that's where now we are preparing the strategy, we are developing the scope, structure, and that goes time and budget. Design. I'm not talking too much on the creative side today, because that's something is unique to every design firm, their approach. And of course, we believe that we are the best in creativity, like any other design firm. But this process is extremely important. What you get out of it is conviction, consistency, and commitment. And that is not only us as a team. And who's most happy? The project. Yeah, and project is happy, all stakeholders are happy. I'm saying happy in terms of money and getting more referrals. Yeah. So just show you quickly how this process actually reflects into the real project. So initial stage work, we have an extensive document which will create the scope of work. whether the site is brand new, something like this, we still come on site and take the measurement. No matter what. If it's a retrofit, must. And if it's too complex, we hire a third-party measuring service and they do the stuff. But place like this, it's very important to, from an interior design perspective, maybe the sprinkler pipe, what they show might be is a column, but it's actually a sprinkler pipe going down. When you come to the site, then only you'll know. Otherwise, on the floor plan, it might just say a block. Yeah? So things like that. Once you define the project, we also established a core team. And when I say core team, it's not a design team. Designer, client, representative, a contact person from landlord, a GC, extremely important, and a procurement. If there is a bigger project like hotel, a procurement person. Once you have that core team, they are all responsible and completely having ownership of the entire design. When I say design, their respective role. So we develop the concept, we work out. Now at that concept level stage, if I'm working with a GC, he might say that, or an architect would say that, oh, great layout, but you know what? You don't have enough parking to have 200 people sitting, if parking is there. Or you don't have enough washroom. We are not even gone onto the drawing board. This is the concept level. And client might come and say that, guys, you guys have done that bar, and this actually happened. We had done the straight bar, but he said, I want, because the bar 6, we took the concept of 6 and we kind of reflected that design further. Yeah. Now the concept design is going to actual floor, actual layout. And when we are developing the design, we went back again to take the measurement, because by the time, look at the space. There was 6 inches built out from the concrete wall. Where we went, we additionally got almost like 100 square feet more at various levels. Design changed. It was good that we were not losing, but we got to know now that is reflecting on the floor plan and on ceiling plan. Another thing we do and is we never take engineer's plan and work on it. We develop the plan and we give it out to engineer with our specification. If it's dental office, we take the Henry Schein will give us the spec sheet. We take all the spec sheet, prepare the whole schedule, give it to engineer so that they know this is what they're working on. Yeah? So design is followed by the engineer, not the engineering drawing followed by the designer, because the overlapping is always a disaster. That's the final outcome. So here our scope is branding and design. So we develop all the brand elements, whether it's a low voltage line to give to that sign, bar 6, it has to be, these things are not in the permit drawings. Another thing, these are in designers, interior designers and architects drawing. Now as a GC, if you don't see anything in a permit drawings, you don't price it. Am I right? Even if you see that it's lit, you will say in permit drawing it's not shown, it's not priced. Now at the time of construction, lawyers happy, they'll say, you will come and say that, oh, this is the additional $2,000. I had to run the whole pipe. Now client says it shows there. So what we do, we always overlap. And in our drawings, we say, refer permit drawings, interior designers drawings, and architects drawing. For signages, shop drawing has to be there. So all these things together, and still GC can miss. Listen, it's a human world. That's why I say lots of moving parts. Yeah? But at least nobody's pointing finger. Client knows that, yeah, this item is missed. I did not pay for it. So no problem, it's additional. This is how we see when you work together from day one, easier. I would not say it's 100% error-free, but it's easier. I guess that's it. Yeah. Last but not the least, I want to say just one thing. Though this presentation is done by an interior design and visual branding team, lately I've been doing this here in Canada for 20 years. One thing I realized, and I'm sure architects and GCs and technical people would agree to it. It is our job, ethical responsibility to do good design. Simple, period. Ethical responsibility to do good architectural work or a good accounting work, but we need to see beyond. Beyond is the project. Project is not only done by designer or not only done by a landlord giving a good space or a lease negotiator doing a good job or a GC doing good job. It's the team. And the trend that I see is spaces are shrinking, clients' requirement is increasing, but its budget is tighter, even tighter. I don't want to say realistic, but because the business is like that. For client, they can't afford to make a build out of $1 million. They have to finish it in 750 and they still want a fantastic design. How do you do it? And imagine 750, and if there is a change order, it's going to go 1,500,000. So I know it sounds a little philosophical, but I see we need to go beyond our comfort zone. And that should be a new norm. Work as a team, no matter what. Put the differences aside. Construction world is not a rosy, happy world. Be real, talk real. If there is a problem from a design team, raise the hand and says our error. It's my drawing. If it's from a GC, raise the hand the right time and says, guys, let's resolve this. I'm telling you, sometimes just to resolve it takes 3 months. Look at the lease amount, look at the borrowing cost amount, and if they go to lawyers, done. And the whole commotion and the bad energy is to open the business. So I've been into, you were saying in arbitration, I've been into some indirect arbitration a lot, where do not go to lawyers, guys. Talk to everyone. And I've seen a good landlords, if you work with their engineers beforehand, to go through the process, they help you like anything. Because I see a place like this, they want only the best. Yeah. So designers, GCs, client, architects, if we are open to work with that open mindset, things will be beautiful projects. And we are working, I would say the ratio of working good projects are increasing because this process of collaboration is working. Yeah. So I must say, let's work together and together we grow. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hemen. That was amazing.
Thank you.
A lot of good knowledge there. We have a few minutes. We are running a little bit behind, but there's still a few minutes for some questions and answers if anyone has anything. Or should I get the ball rolling with you, Hemen?
Go ahead, man.
You titled your presentation Intelligent Design Thinking. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to make it sexy, man. Yeah, it sounds very intelligent. No, intelligent is such a rare thing now. And intelligent is the most simplest thing I feel. What is the intelligent part about it? Be open. Be open about expertise that you have, overlap. So I always love this 4x100 relay race where you are passing the baton, but just don't run with that guy at least another 50 meters. If you're giving out your drawings to GC, don't just hand over, I'm done. Now it's your job. Don't even come back. I've worked in previous life in design firms where they would just give out, tender out, oh, if you need us, we charge per hour, or project management consultancy. And the GC said, holy crap, where am I? Now, of course, he goes into it. He tries his best. Drawings doesn't make sense. I think it's not about that design issue. It's about that mindset of finishing your work at one level. It cannot. You have to walk the talk till level. Having said that, you can't go every day to site also. Nobody pays for it. I agree. But at least be part of it. So what we do internally, create a Google folder. Our GC have to upload photos every week. Upload the photo there. If the site is really big, put a camera there. If you have a Wi-Fi, put a camera there. We all see it. And that's the intelligent part. I don't want to elaborate much. The intelligent part is be real and be intelligent enough not to just raise your hand, be part of it. Yeah.
I have one more.
Yeah.
What trends are you seeing in the design and construction industry as we are today post-COVID?
Yeah. Eric was mentioning about that, and he picked it right one. I think the spaces, as I said, from a design perspective, I would say the spaces are getting tighter. Yeah, I've never seen landlord doing a 17 feet wide units. I don't know, 17 feet wide units, and a retail. Now, how on the earth you put a counter and do so? One is the economy, which is affecting a lot. Businesses are also getting smarter. Let's use the space effectively. So we are doing an event center, which is 45,000 square feet. They want to put 1,600 guests inside. Earlier, it was cut off at 1,200, 1,400 max. It's possible. So I love the part that the investors, the clients are getting more and more creative, or rather more effective to utilize the space. That's one. Design side, I also feel it's very subjective. So design, I would say people are going towards minimalism. I think the value of life has increased. So people are understanding about not overly spending, go crazy elaborate. They want to see ROI working, more and more aware. Yeah. So I feel designer's role is getting increased just beyond design to make sure that whatever they're speccing, whatever they are putting as an FFE schedule is working or not. So it's not that yours to explore or GC afterwards changes. They want to make sure whether they can get it, is it appropriate and within the budget. So trend wise, I would say it's interesting.
In a typical, it's hard to generalize, but we'll try. In a typical small, medium-sized retail space, under 10,000 square feet, that does not require any external fit outs, just more internal fit outs, okay? What's like the duration of fit out process from you beginning to when they can open up for business now? What's your thoughts or your perception of how long that takes?
So time wise, yeah, more time wise. Let's take a 3,000 square feet. 3,000 square feet retail space. If it's a brand new fit out, which is a good example to take, retrofit changes a lot. Retrofit also, from a lease perspective, client always feel if I'm doing a restaurant, I buy a restaurant, perfect. I don't have to go through a whole lot of hassle. Big red flag. If you want a 14 feet hood, that's 12 feet hood, it's not going to work. You can't use the same. Let's go back to 3,000 square feet scenario. I see the fit out is, and correct me guys, the actual GCs are sitting here. So I see 6 to 9 months. Yeah. Starting from working on so we say that our work is mainly preparing the design, permit drawings, going to the city. It's almost like 8 to 10 weeks, 12 weeks on the higher side. After that, city depends on the city to city. They say 20 business days on their portal. Feel good, and that's where problem starts. 20 business days, they open the file after 20 business days. So I always say another 8 to 10 weeks. If the drawings, there's one term I use, integrated service plan. If those things are worked out, and that's where engineers are extremely important. So many practices are going where if it's a retail, let's say restaurant fit out, a lot of engineers use a good hood company, let's say Captivare. They use it. I don't want to say that the commercial side of it, because Captivare gives free design. So engineers, they don't have to do the calculation. I'm not generalizing, but lot. Great product. You go to the city says Captivare, perfect, approved. They sign off, come to GC now, he says Captivare, double the cost of regular hood, 70,000 instead of 40,000. Goes back to client says, it's okay if it's the same hood, fast food is giving me this much, why can't it reduce? Problem. Go to the city, changes. So I'm talking about an ideal case scenario, 3 plus 3 plus 3. Yeah, so 3 months, within 3 months you get the permit, and a 3,000 square feet, 3 to 4 months, ideally. Which I don't know what you guys see it. Is it that much or more?
Well, maybe I'll start off, and maybe Nigel can help me finish off that comment. I guess in the on the tenant side, of course, depending on their scope, what they want to do, that's going to affect the schedule. But something that as the landlord, what we try to do, and in the case of this property here in Gloucester on Yonge, that was when we brought on Nigel into the team, right? And so that this way, on the landlord side, we aside from our construction team, we have dedicated commercial, a personnel that's on the commercial fit out side that is there to really assemble the right sort of information to begin with, all the sets of plans and CADs and all your MEC drawings, whatever else. And from there, we also kind of look into things that we needed to find out and provide for, that we anticipate for the tenant, right? For example, like after all, this building, for example, there's residential up top. There's 50 stories of residential. So it's a complex building, right? Where you have a TTC tunnel underneath. So how does all the connections work? How does all the slab and things work? So we're trying to find out all these things so that this way we can provide that information to our leasing team from the get-go. And from there, when they are going through the leasing, they can so there won't be as much surprises. That would then need to troubleshoot, so that this way you know where you can tap into the gas line, where the slab is thick or what, right?
It's huge help, I must say. And I'm not talking about this unusual part. We are talking about an ideal. This is an ideal part where I've seen landlords' representation is at the time of only lease signing. And that is where I'm sure GCs sitting here, they would agree to me. That's where the problem starts. We don't know the base building drawings. Once you have a base building drawing, they are not as-built drawings. If they are as-built drawings, any changes happen on site is not reflected back to tenant. I mean, it's a classic example. I can't say the builder's name, but the property line is drawn wrong within the commercial building. And it's a construction site, so you can't go and check it. So we applied to the city, applied to the permit, and when it came back, so we need more Nigels.